because it was really hard for interpreters, but not only for our team of translators from Catalan, but also for all teams of translators into other languages. I noticed that at some points, when really tough things were shown, it was very difficult for people to keep the thread of translation looking at this. It was not easy at all. And my conclusion is that there are many people who tell us that we are too tragic and we shouldn't show all this so openly. But I think it is necessary. It is a top priority to show everything that is happening in the world. Because if we do not show it openly, we won't be able to help all these people, children, and the most vulnerable citizens who have suffered most in the world. And we won't be able to change anything. But we need to change these circumstances. That's why we have to cover everything. And that's the only way out.
I think it's very important that people start thinking about climate change themselves. The biggest threat of people acting against climate change is that it becomes a tick-the-box process initiated by governments, where people don't understand what they are doing and why. I think it's very important that people understand that they can take charge of their existence. And it's very important that you watch in the way you want to go. So you have to look at where you want to go. And I think it's good to know the truth, and it's good to realize that climate change can be a big threat to our existence, also on an individual basis. We want people to take responsibility of their own lives and get connected with each other, because every one of us has so much potential. And that's why it's so important that this is an initiative on a voluntary basis. We are going to do this by ourselves, by connecting, by using our creativity.
What got me started was a question from a student at my college where I was teaching. And the student simply asked, are earthquakes increasing or not? And I said, well, they have been a little bit, but I haven't really taken a deep look at the literature on this. So I went and examined the data from the U.S. Geological Survey, plus also from the Global Seismic Network, and found some pretty astounding things. And I found that the earthquake activity on the ocean bottoms showed a huge jump in activity starting in 1995. And in fact, I have a paper now that is going out this week for consideration for publication called 1995, an inflection point in the recent geophysical history of the planet, where I outline a number of the things that have changed dramatically since then. That is, we say that the system is what we call nearly intransitive. We get these huge jumps and these sudden changes. And this was one that had gone unnoticed and pretty much ignored in the literature. And I can speak much more about the literature and the fact that these sorts of things aren't being done because it was an extremely difficult process trying to get this published. It was rejected from 9 different journals. In fact, half of the journals I sent it to wouldn't even review it. They said, don't you know that carbon dioxide is what's causing the globe to warm? And we think this to be, a bit frivolous. So it was very, very hard to get this work published, and it still is very hard to get this work published. I think Sterling Burnett did a good job explaining how a well-known physicist, William Happer, is trying to get some of his research published on this. And I see this as a huge impediment going forward and something that needs to be fixed in the scientific literature.
The information was announced in a way that was very shocking, but at the same time, gives an understanding of what awaits us all in the near future. We, all people, all humanity, live on planet Earth. This is our only home. And it is a mistake to believe that when a ship's bow sinks, the stern will survive. It will not be possible to sit out somewhere in this situation. This was discussed more than once at the conference. You will not be able to run away and hide. We have been told for a long time that the Slavic territories would be a saving ark for all people. But at the moment, it is already known for a fact that there are practically no safe places on the planet. What we once considered safe territories are already happening climatic disasters. We are already being told from big screens that 2022 will be the year of hunger. For those of us who live in cities, everything is all right. But right now, there are millions of people, more than 800 million people, who are on the brink of starvation. But at the same time, in our society, we dump billions of tons of good food every year to keep someone from losing their profit. Indeed, in our society, money is in the first place, not human life. Over the years, we have been taught to shift responsibility to someone else and have someone else solve our problems. Even in our current situation, we all expect for someone to come from somewhere and solve our problems. But the truth is that what is happening to the ecology right now is created by us. And we are the only ones who can resolve this problem. But we will be able to solve this only together. Only by combining all our human potential, all our scientific potential, will we be able to find a solution to these problems. With the information heard at the conference, what was shown there, the dynamic of catastrophes which is steadily increasing, we may come to despair when we see how people instantly lose everything that they have spent their entire life on. Home, property, everything. It just flows away, falls into sinkholes, and is swept away by the winds. It literally happens in a few seconds. But when I look into the eyes of my little daughter, I understand that I have no right to lose hope and give up. What can I leave my daughter if not a better world? To make the world a better place than it was before me and do everything in my power to fix the situation. It doesn't require much from people to do this. Everything is quite simple. Go to the website, get familiar with the project, support it, and share this information with everyone you can. Your family, relatives, friends, and co-workers. Inform them that we have an alternative option. It is the only option for the survival of all people on the planet. This is the creative society.
We live in our own little world, and it seems that everything is fine with us. We live in a wonderful world, but we never think about what's going on around us. We know that something is happening to someone, but we think that is somewhere. It is not with us, and that this will never happen to us. But why do we live like this? We share the same planet. We are all one, and we're all human, but we're indifferent to others. It turns out that even we humans are completely powerless and defenseless. We live each in our own bubble, and we think that we live in a decent world. We travel, go to cafes and restaurants, wear fancy clothes, buy cars and appliances. And this is the beauty of our life. But when you see that reality and the paradox of this world, then you understand that everything that you consider a worthy life is not that worthy. I'm grateful to all the participants of the Creative Society project, grateful to all the organizers and interpreters of this conference for their incredible work. Because people need to know the truth, and I'm proud to be part of the Creative Society project. Thank you all very much.
It's 8 a.m. The conference Global Crisis, Time for the Truth just ended. It lasted 12 hours. I didn't think I could watch so much, but it was impossible to tear myself away from it during the whole broadcast. All this truth. How can you close your eyes? I don't understand people who prefer not to know about it. It was very hard to watch a video about refugees. People who find themselves in a difficult life situation are faced with bestial cruelty. A mental scream burst out through my tears. Is this possible? How can all this be stopped? How can it be? The conference gives us an answer to this question. Consciousness resists. Isn't that enough? We have to act. But how? What to do? Still, we need to inform everyone. This is the only way to help when everyone knows about this problem. Only together we can solve it. We can't do it alone.
And I think the migration crisis is a very complex problem. And it's not only brought about by climate change, and I think we must be very careful not to put climate change as an etiquette on or a label on every problem that we face nowadays. So of course climate change can be an aspect and can be a cause. But the main cause for migration problems are corrupt societies and governments that are misbehaving. These are the number one causes for migration. People want to, almost all people want to make a living for themselves, want to build up a normal life. And in so many countries nowadays, this is simply not possible because people are living in corrupt societies. And then, of course, we end up at the point that we were starting, is that these corrupt societies are there because people think about short-term profits. And people get status and can lead a glamorous life if they're acting on a short-term basis. And this the same goes for politicians, but it's also for drug traffickers, human being traffickers, smugglers. And there are people that are looking for the loopholes in this society, in our system, to make a short, fast buck, to say. And this is, of course, a problem. And it's not dealt with properly when people are thinking about legislation. Because if you look at the migration legislation in the United States, but also in the EU, you can see that it is it's a business proposition for people who don't care about laws and don't care about people. And this is, of course, a huge problem. There will always be people looking out for opportunities elsewhere if they are in a bad situation in their own country, and this is a fact. And if there are lots and lots of people doing this at the same time, this is a logistical problem, because no country in the world can take on many, many millions of refugees at the same time. So we have to look at the cause, and the root cause, I think, of migration problems and people want to get out of their country is war and corrupt societies.
Volunteers took part in this conference, and in their spare time they searched for the information, structured it, and created these beautiful videos that we can see. It is caring for our planet, caring for us, our future, for our families and our children. We can all get out of this consumerist format, and the way out is a creative society. Society where all people will be happy.
I'm very, very impressed with the scope of the work that was done here. There was a tremendous amount of information, much of it unknown or poorly known by most folks. And I thought you did a great job putting this together. It's obvious that thousands and thousands of hours went into preparing this conference and preparing the talks. It was a truly remarkable effort, and it's on a scale that I've never seen before. And I applaud you for your good work.
After all, together we can do much more, because together we can do it all times faster. Let's be prudent. Let's act together. Indeed, every person is important and there are no superfluous ones. No extra hands, no extra specialists, and this is not only our project. This is the project of all humanity, and it concerns absolutely every person. Let's build a creative society together. After all, we can do much more together because we can do it much faster. Even though I have 7 children living with me and I'm responsible for them. So I found the time to participate in this conference because I want to make people aware of the problems that exist here and now. Who but us parents will take care of our children? Who but us parents will make this world safe? Who but us parents will take responsibility for what is already happening at the present moment, here and now? We are all specialists, and each of us has everything needed to unite. Each of us is a human being, and each of us has something inside that unites us. So, dear friends, visit creativesociety.com. Watch this conference and once again be convinced that now is the time for the truth. And let's make the world creative, a creative society, peace for our children.
The information prepared and presented at the conference is unique and leaves no one indifferent. What is happening in the world? I heard some fragmented parts about something, and even in preparation for the conference, I came across different information. But what has been voiced is shown comprehensively and on a full scale. That's impressive. It is impressive that people managed to destroy our planet so much in such a short time. In just 30, 50, 100 years, we have done something that could not be done for 1,000 years. But I know that we can only get out of this situation together, united by all of humanity. If we, all 8 billion people, unite, we can change everything. Thank you very much. Let's build a creative society together.
I think unity is, of course, is something that we strive for now in this movement, and it would be so good to inspire every day a bit of more people, because if we're able to magnetize other people, not hypnotize or manipulate, but magnetize, in the sense that you see that we can convince them that just by shifting the paradigm, by shifting the focus into something positive, our world could be so much better place to be in. That would be very, very good. And because all these problems that we're facing right now, you cannot tackle alone, not even a government, not even an international organization. We have to do it all together. And it's so much more fun also to do it all together.
I think one of the problems that we have out there is the dissemination of information. I think there's a tremendously unequal ability for people to access information about this. I think this is critically important, where people who express other views about what is going on with the climate or other aspects of the environment are deplatformed, they're canceled, as we say, cancel culture. They are effectively thrown out of the discussion. And that sort of thing creates serious problems. And what then happens is that the discussions start to become very stilted in one direction or another, and they're usually stilted in ways to meet certain political or economic agendas. And I think the open exchange of information is critically important, especially on a professional level. One thing that I find particularly frustrating is, again, that as a scientist, it's very hard for me to get my research published because people don't want to hear about this. It doesn't meet the agenda. It doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying to push out there. And I think that, to me, is a large hurdle that has to be overcome. And I think that you folks have done a tremendous job in trying to overcome that divide. You're trying to bridge that gap. And I applaud you for that. Again, would like to see more of this. Somewhere down the line, I would like to see a proliferation of scientific journals that are much more open and honest and do promote honest debate about some of these problems. Unfortunately, these are few and far between. They're very, very hard to access. So I think the dissemination of good information, of good communication is critical to all of this.